Hello everybody and welcome to my channel and welcome back. We're gonna be doing another reaction video for Super Eye Patch Wolf, a guy who I watch a lot. We are gonna be looking at the bizarre world of fake video games, a video that came out 2 years ago, so that's well within our reaction period. We don't want to do anything new, because if we do anything new we will definitely be cannibalizing views. In this case we're just watching a video that's been basically you know, out there, and if people watch this, and that's great. But from the last time that we watched, I think it was I think we watched a couple videos from him, if I'm correct. Let me see. So we got we were watching oh shit, yeah, it was an old video. This is not, which one did we do? I think it was only, it was the only Undertale one. I don't think we did anything else. That's interesting. But yeah, no, that's we're definitely going to be watching this one. This one is one that I've had a huge interest for a while, because fake video games are just an interesting subject. A design in media in which they never really created the media itself is just such an interesting thing. And I'm kind of wondering, because I have seen it a couple times with the Garfield one. I'm pretty sure you guys seen that one with the Garfield one. That was an interesting one, and a couple of other ones. But let's go ahead and check to see, and we'll see how this goes. This is The Bizarre World of Fake Video Games by Super Eye Patch Wolf. Hi, Mr. Bolo.
Welcome, traveler, to a distant place, a world of both impossible beauty and unimaginable horror. A land where the brave will select one of 12 characters. Will you choose the mighty Minor Knight, the lowly Ratman, or the destitute Mad Pricker? Can you marshal their strengths and venture across a vast realm where only through hard-fought battle and victory will both the treasures and mysteries of this land spill themselves onto ye? Be it what lies in the dead man's garden, the bounty that awaits at the pauper's catacombs, or the madness that lies within the glass purgatory. Oh no! A world of monsters, both great and foul.
It is a bit dramatic.
Have ye the stomach to face down the abominable stench champion? Will you discover the secret of the Goblin Knight? But heed my words, young hero. Do not fall prey to the sinister temptation of the dubious friend. Step forward, my champions.
I thought that said fiend.
Is the world of Vermis, a brand new video game from Plastibu Entertainment
that doesn't exist.
And Vermis is not real, and you know it's not real because that's the name of the video. Hello,
I love Super Eye Patch Wolf. He's great.
Back from my journey down another internet hole to bring you another one of these videos. This time we're talking about the
Fiend too.
Yeah,
dude, what the fuck?
Video games. Much like explaining to your accountant that the wizard costume you bought is tax deductible, fake video games can be a little hard to understand at first, as you could be talking about anything from Kickstarter game development scams, AAA game trailers that were never real, Sony, you motherfucking liars, mobile phone apps where honestly, I have no idea what's happening here.
I have no clue what that's about.
Song. But we're not talking about any of.
Dude, mobile game ads are so fucking weird. Like, they're so kinked up. It's one thing for like someone like myself who kind of like is derivative, whose content is derivative of like some kinks. Like, you know, that's just kind of how my designs are. Not this one, for instance. Like, I have a couple designs that are kind of just meant to just be cute. And then you have another bunch of other ones that are kind of just like hypersexualized in their own kind of right. This is a special type, and a lot that they focus on is always like filth play, and I don't understand why. Is it funny or are they into it? I don't fucking know.
Those, because I don't care. I do care about Hollow Knight Silksong. I bet that will be good. What we are talking about is the bizarre phenomenon of people creating games that just don't exist. And maybe you're thinking, John, what does that even mean? What are fake video games? None of this makes any sense. To which I would respond, no, it doesn't. Look, just watch the fucking video. On the 11th of February 2012, a 1 minute and 19-second video was uploaded to the internet. The video was simple, just a still image with a song playing over it. But the curious part was the title. Persona 5 Tightrope
title screen. Uploaded to a channel called Atlas XP5, and curious because A, Atlas was the publisher of popular video game series Persona, and B, at this point, Persona 4 had been out for 4 years, but there hadn't been a single word on Persona 5, except this video. And suspicious as that seemed, there was...
Don't we already have a Persona 5 actually? It's the one with Joker, right? Persona 5. Yeah, that's crazy. In a way, it's kind of like a future prediction, dude. That's crazy.
So real about it. The song itself was a beautifully composed piece of jazz fusion that fit in well with series composer Shoji Meguro's previous soundtracks, and the illustration featured could have been ripped directly from the art books of Persona character designer Shigenori Sojima. Both elements combining into something that felt bafflingly real, but even more so when, in the weeks that followed, more and more tracks began to appear on Atlas XP5, and you could hear the entire game in these songs, the boss battles, the hangout music, the shopping sections. But soon, it wasn't just music being uploaded to Atlas XP5's accounts. Concept art, promotional posters, environmental design, and even animated trailers began to...
How do you get away with that? Who do you have to fucking side with to be doing these? You have to pay fucking deep pockets or just be very skilled yourself into doing this kind of thing, because these are fucking character designs that look straight out of the game itself. So who has the time to be doing that? That's crazy.
And perhaps most intriguing, full character profiles, revealing a cast of classic Persona archetypes, from the silent Sigma gamer protagonist to everyone's favorite inferior male companion. But where things started to get bizarre was when actual screenshots of the game began to appear, detailing actual gameplay systems like a social media mechanic, as well as a controller layout for what looked like an emotions-driven dialogue system. Soon, even pitch decks for the game's story were being uploaded, unveiling a narrative that featured interdimensional old gods and an in-game apocalypse the player would survive. And while that maybe felt a little bleak for the Persona series, it fit perfectly with Persona's darker parent series, Shin Megami Tensei, a return that a portion of the fan base had been rabid for. Those fans now passionately speculating about the validity of this game, speculation that went into overdrive when an official 2013 teaser trailer of Persona
That's so fucking funny, dude, if you think about it. These guys were waiting for it. They're just like, oh shit, dude, we're gonna get Persona 5 and we've seen the trailers. Like, we got this short-haired protagonist and it's all crazy, and we get like this character, that character, and they were shown to be Joker.
Seemed to reflect the themes of manipulation and control that were present in everything Atlas XP5 had revealed, from the artwork to the story details to even the titles of its songs. And with this, a tantalizing inevitability crept into focus. Someone within Atlas was leaking Persona 5, and when 2 years later the official trailer for Persona 5 dropped, it was a completely different video.
Yeah,
game.
dude, it's my ball. The ball and chain, dude. That's my testicles.
Rama-sama was this? Well, the truth is, by 2015, cracks had already started to appear in whatever this was. The internet had grown up a lot in the 3 years since that first video. That initial tightrope title screen theme being traced back to a single from J-pop duo Vivid Blaze, with all other tracks on this page being traced back to similar musical acts or soundtracks that were
send a message to the artist that's going to be doing the art.
And while it's speculated that some of the artwork at least is original, I was able to trace enough of it back over the course of an afternoon to the point that I seriously doubt that. Meaning that what we're actually looking at here is a bizarre magpie's nest of dozens of different pieces of media scavenged from across the internet and then chopped and spliced together into something that creates the illusion of a real video game. This is
Oh,
what became
wait.
known as Persona 5 Imagining Project, and its existence raises some interesting and precise questions. 1. Why does a piece of media like this even exist? 2. How was it?
The craziest part too about this is the amount, like you're seeing the background scroll. These are like songs over and over, basically made for a video game that doesn't even exist, dude. Like that is crazy. The amount of effort that this took to basically be fake. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Able to convince so many people.
See, this is the type of shit that I was talking about in the last one that we were reacting to for the Polybius, where you had a bunch of fucking roaches faking it really terribly. This is effort. This is a good lie. This kind of gives you like an interest in that kind of thing. Not all the fucking guys like, I was a government worker from this area with a date that definitely doesn't work with the makings of Polybius, because I'm very bad at looking up things. You know, casual details, you know? Casual details.
3. What is even the appeal of a fake video game from an audience perspective? 4. Why would someone put so much time and effort into making it? And 5. Finally, have I wasted a significant portion of my life making this video? Except for that last one, we are going to answer all these questions in relation to Persona 5 Imagining Project, but also a bunch of other weird shit. And so to start, why does a fake video game even exist? And in a way, that answer is simple. See, any idiot can make a fake video game. For example...
Oh, rip. Oh, it's just manga. It's just comic.
Okay, that was actually advertisements for my fake anime / video game that I pretend is real through t-shirts, featuring the brand new Kimberly Angel long sleeve tee for people who either
cool.
are or would like to be around a psychologically unstable
See,
clown
this is
girl.
what I'm trying to do.
Knock 20%.
This is the exact thing that I'm trying to do with my comic, you know? I'm trying to do this kind of thing, you know? Make a story revolving around the things that I'm doing, you know? It's great. Look at my story. It's on Webtoons. It's called The Crown Nexus. You can read it there. We got our first chapter out already. We also have it on Tapas and Pixiv and Patreon if you want to take a look at that. Remember, The Crown Nexus. You can find it under Yuffie. Shameless plugin.
Off everything for the next 48 hours or until I remember to turn the sale off. So you can buy some if you want. iPatchWolves.com. I promise this has actual relevance to this video. It's not just me being a nightmare capitalist person, though it is that too. Like a lot of people, I have always wanted to tell a story or create some kind of fictional universe. So I thought, what if I use YouTuber merch to piece by piece suggest a fictional interconnected world and through clothes tell that story? Fake video games work exactly the same way. They let us take ideas for stories, worlds, and experiences and let us ask, what if this existed as a video game? And that question, what?
The world of fake video games is slowly showing me more that it feels like an ARG than it is kind of like an idea of basking, you know? Like it sounds really cool. I like the idea of fake video games, mainly because it's probably because I do like the idea of ARGs in a way, and they kind of like settle in the same area, alternate reality games. In this case, it is an alternate reality and a game. So it is interesting. It is definitely interesting.
It can come in a lot of different forms, but one of the simplest and honestly most fun is the idea of demakes. By the way, I broke my finger, which is why I have to wear this, and you're not allowed to make fun of me. Demakes ask the question of what if a modern video game existed on an older console?
I fucking love
something
demakes.
like Elden Ring, a title whose massive, lush world pushes current generation hardware to their limits. So it's kind of interesting to think about, what if that gigantic world was then crammed onto a PlayStation 1? Well, the Elden Ring demake trailer answers that question, and it is bizarre looking at it. It's the uncanny feeling that this is the game you know, but coming from a different time. What's kind of insane though is that we can push that question even further. Back another entire generation, in fact. With 64 bits Elden Ring video, this time asking what if Elden Ring existed on a Super Nintendo. And it's fucking cool, but there are entire communities of artists doing this. Taking games and dragging them
in a beat 'em up
sense,
that an Elden Ring type game would be pretty crazy to see.
What if Horizon Zero Dawn was a Super Nintendo game, or Genshin Impact was a PS1 RPG, or if Tears of the Kingdom ran on an N64? I think what makes these posts so popular is that there's something compelling about watching an artist deconstruct a video game, recognizing
honestly, that in itself is such an interesting thing to see. Just looking at a game of our of newer generations and kind of fitting it in this shell of like what it would be like if it was like 8-bit or something. It is 100% a genius play. I am not gonna lie. I think it is 100% fucking like the best kind of art style that I've seen used. Mostly just because I have nostalgia for older consoles because I am an older person. So it's interesting to see the
core parts of it, and then showing creativity in how they preserve those parts through something as massive as a regression in generation. But for as cool as all this is, there is also artists doing the exact opposite. This is PowerQuest, and PowerQuest kind of rules. It's Pokemon with robots through a weird adventure fighting game. Unfortunately, due to the hardware of the Game Boy, the lack of visual detail means that idea of little battling robots gets kind of lost, instead looking like a more generic fighter. And that's not a slight on the developers, they were working within the limitations they had.
That's crazy.
But what's so cool about Snake Pixel's reimagining is how it frees PowerQuest of those limitations, using the increased visual fidelity to create depth, which lets its background elements like the dog and the cat give us a sense of scale and the visual context to understand just how small these little fighters actually are.
That's
and as a
so
side
cute.
note, I really love the addition of this book bag. It creates this kind of after-school atmosphere, like two kids have met up, tossed all their school shit aside, and are now battling their tiny robots.
That's
all making for an image that
shit.
feels more like PowerQuest than PowerQuest. This is what I love about Snake Pixel's work. They'll take the core of what's cool about a game and then rebuild it visually in a way that frees it of whatever limitations held back the original. And those limitations aren't always technical. Take, for example, the original Chrono Trigger. Easily one of the most beloved games of all time that bafflingly never got a true sequel. I know Chrono Cross exists, it's a fine game, it doesn't count. However, in 2001, a mysterious new trademark was created by Square, Chrono Break, which at least for a little while seemed to be a project in active development. However, due to the political snake pit that is video game production, the staff of Chrono Break were reportedly subsumed by Final Fantasy XI. That Chrono Break trademark expiring in 2011, meaning that whatever this potential sequel might have been, we will never know. But the closest we'd get would be 23 years after the release of the original Chrono Trigger in the form of Snake Pixel's fan-made Chrono Break trailer, an animation that asks what if Chrono Trigger got that sequel? What a new adventure starring Luca and Magus might look like, giving us a glimpse into this world that was never possible. This is something really fun about fake video games. No matter how great an idea is for an actual video game, there's countless different limitations that can stop it from existing. Technical, financial, a company's belief in an IP or an expectation around what it should be. But with a fake video game, those limitations disappear and we can just ask, what if Zelda was a 2D fighting game? What if Amy Rose had her own platformer? Or if Street Fighter looked like a Saturday morning cartoon? Or Pokemon had actual interesting art direction, or if Disney and Nintendo had a crossover fighter, or
I think it's something interesting to see when people who just like a medium end up creating art, even if it's just like kind of like this where it becomes a fake video game, where they create art where they pick it up on their own. It's their own art style, and it just looks a lot more creative than, well, maybe it's not that it looks more creative. It's that it definitely just looks more different than what you would expect from what Nintendo to do with their own IPs, you know? Like, I don't think I'd ever see any IP where would just pick Mario looking like this. And it's super interesting to see that. Like, it is, honestly. Like, seeing these art pieces like this. And it kind of makes you think that, like, how great it would be to see these games come to life, too. It definitely just makes me want to check what a game would look like this, honestly.
FLCL was a tag battler, or Evangelion a turn-based fighter, or JoJo a visual novel, or Golden Boy a point-and-click adventure, or Junji Ito's Gyo was a PS1 survival horror, or Silent Hill a skateboarding game. Oh,
that's hilarious.
That's in poor taste. Or Pokemon was Australian, or oh god, this one's really wild. If House MD was a DS game with full-on fake screenshot mock-ups, fake gameplay sections, even a fake listing on Metacritic. Oh my god, that's fucking real. People have been uploading fake video game mock-ups to the internet for pretty much as long as the internet has existed in its current form. One of the earliest I could find was from 16 years ago, just 2 years after YouTube was created, Resident Evil Rangist. And they show it not just because I think it's cool and I've never heard anyone talk about it, but to highlight the insane amount of effort it would take for someone in that era on that hardware to create something this convincing. But there are so many insanely ambitious projects like this to this day, like Pokugami, which asks, what if early Pokemon games could exist in the style of the original Ken Sugimori concept art? Which, for the record, are some of my favorite illustrations in existence. What are you? And the result is something that has this uncanny nostalgia, so completely different to what these games were, and yet so...
Like, how fucking interesting it would be to just see a game like this. I'm gonna be honest though, I don't think Pokemon would flourish if it even looked like this. I think it flourished more because of the 8-bit game era. Because this looks like something that you'd probably see in, like, I don't know, PlayStation 2 kind of thing. But man, look how interesting that would have been. Dude, like, look at this. That is crazy.
Beautifully faithful to them. Another example being Curiomatic's impossible trailer for Mother 3 that asks, what if that world was rebuilt in the style of the Plasticine models from the original Earthbound Player's Guide, dragging out the core of Mother 3 and rebuilding it in this simultaneously impossible but faithful way. One project that takes that concept to the absolute extreme being Onry Boy's Dreambound, asking, what if the world of Kirby existed as this bizarre mashup fusing the aesthetic of Earthbound and the gameplay and mechanics of Paper Mario, and everything from the gosh darn gorgeous pixel art to the tactile feel of the menus is so convincing.
Fucking Mini King DDD is great. Imagine having a Kirby game, a Kirby RPG game, where you use King DDD instead of Kirby. That would be fucking great. Dreamland, and you use just like a baby DDD. That would be so fucking cool. I think that wouldn't gain much traction, but it would definitely have a huge fucking like cult following. That definitely would.
Bring that question. Even though it is just an animation, it's so hard not to see it as an actual video game. Fake video games exist because they let us ask what if. And so, in the case of Persona 5 Imagining Project, it was someone asking the question, what if a darker Persona sequel existed that tied back to the series' roots of Shin Megami Tensei? That is the basic appeal of fake video games, and as you may be able to tell from the runtime of this video, there is a more complicated appeal that we will get to. But for now, I want to move on to that second question. What is it about fake video games like Imagining Project and Dreambound that our brain looks at them and doesn't see animation or illustration, but video game? Here's an illustration from the artist Arkai2, and it's awesome, a powerful rendering of a dramatic moment from...
Give me a second. This is probably going to be the time where I'm going to have to edit this part out because I really need water right now. I am super thirsty. I'll be right back. Time is 24 minutes. Oh, I'll be back. Okay, we ready? 1, 2, and...
Pokemon Ruby. However, I have removed one small detail of it, and watch what happens when we add it.
Thank you for the hydrate, Kuma.
Personally, when I look at this, I see a cool illustration, but when I look at this, I see something else. I see something that asks, what would you do in this scenario? Would you fight? Would you switch Pokemon? Would you run? And when presented with these options,
I have a Mudkip, bro. I'd run. There's a whole ass Groudon. If I have a Mudkip at level what level do you meet Groudon at level 40? I think at level 40 something I'd have like my Mudkip on. If I stayed it as a Mudkip, no, my Mudkip would not survive. He'd die. He'd die going against his Groudon. The health pool would be too small.
my mind can't help consider the scenarios that each might lead to, and by extension, asking what is the wider world that contains this moment and what other moments within this world might look like. And I think what's actually happening here is really interesting. When we see a screenshot of a video game, one of the primary ways we recognize it as a video game are HUD elements like health bars, weapon selects, and point or XP counters. Visual elements designed to convey specific information to the player that helps them decide how to engage with this world. And if you've been playing video games for any length of time, it's visual signifiers like this that your brain has become hardwired to interpret as video game. And if we remove those visual elements, that feeling that this is a video game is lessened, making it feel more like a traditional image. But if we inverse this and add those same visual elements to a traditional image, it raises that same feeling, nudging our brains into interpreting this as a video game. And that's why it's so hard to look at something like Dreambound and not, at least on some nearly subconscious level, see video game. That's the idea of mechanical context, incorporating visual elements of video games into a traditional illustration or animation to create the illusion of a video
direct
game.
video games? That'd be so cool. I want to direct
mechanical
a video
context
game.
actually change how we view a piece of media? And to answer that question, I have quite an unusual example.
It'd be so cool to
Spent
do
long
that.
enough on TikTok in late 2022, and at some point, you may encounter a video in which the viewer from a first-person perspective is approached by an unusual wide-eyed
I was a
girl.
DM.
Excuse me, sir. My husband's missing, and I really.
She's done other content. She's done other content than just this, and I've seen that other content. It kind of just like, it kind of just boom, like, you know that little feeling you get in anime, it's just like dun dun in your head. She's done other content. That's all I'm gonna say. Beyond just this, she's done other content.
We need him. Do you think you could help me find him? Thanks.
This is Molly Moon, and the majority of her videos go like this. Molly approaching the viewer with an
Excuse me, sir. Excuse me, sir. Excuse me, sir.
and then asking them to follow her to a second location, all the while her unblinking gaze, monotone speech, and strange mannerisms implying that she is something pretending to be human. However, on November 2022, these videos changed.
Excuse me, sir. Can you walk me home? Thanks. Why don't you come in for something to eat?
That's terrifying if you watch his horror.
You feel like I am confirmed.
No way! Thank you for the 100 biddies. I appreciate it.
It was the same idea.
I'm not gonna
Molly
say anything.
approaching the viewer
I'm not
with
gonna
the
say
same
anything.
ominous tone, but now the videos had adopted the aesthetic and mechanical context of an old FMV point-and-click adventure. Something you could feel in every part of the video, from its garbled compressed audio to its juddery jumping frames, and particularly in the choices it now presented the player with, choices they'd have to navigate in an attempt to survive Molly. Choices that, just to be clear, were not real. This was still just a non-interactive video on TikTok, and yeah, Look at the difference this addition of mechanical context made. Molly's videos going from getting views in the hundreds of thousands to the tens of millions.
Goddamn,
Despite
okay,
the fact
fuck.
that the basic idea of these videos was the same, the addition of mechanical context meant they became something else, nudging the videos into the realm of suggesting this wider interactive experience that asks the
That's
viewer,
terrifying, dude.
what
I'm
would
not gonna lie.
you do?
I don't know, maybe it's
While
because
Molly
the
was
way that
not
it looks
the
so
first or only
grungy.
creator to do this, she stands as an example of the impact mechanical context can have. And if you want to see just how powerful this idea can be, we need to talk about the work of Hoshi Backyard. Hoshi Backyard is clearly a very talented artist. The work is gorgeous, precisely technical, yet retaining an intense amount of expression and personality. However, what I think makes Hoshi Backyard's work so powerful is how they use mechanical context. They recently created a series imagining Demon Slayer as a Souls-like, and what I think is so powerful about these images is the intense amount of consideration that's gone into not just what this game might look like, but how it might feel. As my patrons pointed out to
bro, that fucking what, that the demon one, the Demon Souls one, that's literally just that's demon Slayer if it were fucking it's Sekiro, dude. No fucking way, dude. That's crazy.
What Hoshi Backyard has done here is lifted the UI and gameplay of
Yeah, I
Sekiro
fucking
Shadows
knew
Die
it!
Twice and fused those mechanics with the story and world of Demon Slayer, blending the two
Actually,
into a
that
fake
would be
video
crazy.
game so
That would be crazy
sumptuous
to
and
see.
convincing. Everything from the tasteful way the camera is positioned behind the player to frame the action, to how your lock-on reticule will flash red to indicate critical hits, to even the fake PlayStation trophies that pop on the demon execution screen. It all combines into not just
That's cool
images
as
that
shit.
look cool, but feel like something you could reach out and play. And the result is these images going bananas viral. Hoshi Backyard creating several other projects like this, including a fake video game on the Madoka spin-off series.
You can like
Magical
switch them out,
Record,
dude.
Transforming
But it's
that
all about
show
countering.
slash Gashapon nightmare into a non-existent video game by fusing it with the mechanical context of Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. And as someone who was not into Record,
That's
God,
even
I want to play
crazier.
this game. I can't help picking over every little detail in order to understand what it might feel like. But to me, the most powerful and immersive project Hoshi Backyard
How would even a game like that even work, dude? Like the mechanics of like Legend of Zelda, right? Like every little, like the battle and everything, in a situation of the modern day like this, like what would it even be? What would you even be doing? That's crazy.
has made isn't based off any existing property, but their own original world. Unlike Hoshi Backyard's other work, Lost Property Control Organization isn't based on an existing IP and doesn't use the UI of any actual video game. Instead, this is a built from zero fake video game, and because of that, the experience Hoshi Backyard is able to craft is completely unique. One of the most enjoyable aspects about consuming fake video
that's
games
funny.
is looking at screenshots and piecing together
That's
the
pretty cool.
kind of experience they might be, with a skillful artist able to suggest so much through just mechanical context, even in a single image. While we can tell that combat is a part of this game, the protagonist has a gun, what looks like multiple weapon slots, as well as a health bar and possible stamina / mana bar, it doesn't seem to be the main focus. Instead, the camera's position is tight on the player, much like the secondary camera angles used in stealth games like Metal Gear Solid 2, designed to give you more a view of your enemies than your
that is
immediate
good.
surroundings. And
That's
that,
real good.
combined with the protagonist's pose, crouching behind a wall, as well as the enemy design itself, ghostly security guards shining flashlights in search
It's
of the
Metal Gear
player,
Solid if
combined
small
with the
anime
vision
girl
codes of the
horror.
enemies shown in the mini-map, as well as the audio waveform monitor that could be used to gauge the noise from the surrounding environment, your own heartbeat, or possibly Silent Hill style monster static. Either way, it all suggests an experience where stealth is preferable over direct combat, where slow, careful movement through the environment as you take notice of your surroundings is critical. the objective
That's very
checkbox, as
interesting.
well as what looks like a Navi-esque assistant, suggesting that the player is not necessarily the victim caught up in some supernatural ordeal here, but rather on a mission here to achieve a specific purpose. Now that is already an incredible amount of information to convey from one single screenshot, but possibly most curious is the presence of a 24-hour clock that implies a day and night cycle, and suggesting that there could be way more to this game. And when I say could, what I really mean is. I wanted to make the point of how immersive just a single screenshot of Lost Property can be, but the truth is, Lost Property Control Organization exists across dozens of different images, each one adding a little piece to what the experience of this game might be like.
But it comes off looking more, I'm sorry, God, I forgot about the lobby music. I don't know, it's such a mixed bag of stuff that it comes off more looking like a scramble, like a bit scrambled. Like, I do get it, like, this makes sense to come out. This kind of gives it like a little Resident Evil style thing where you kind of grab a document and then you're kind of reading it off a different screen. It gives you, this is a bit weird because it kind of just looks like a way that to manage quote unquote perks through, I guess, like stickers adding onto a item that you're given. And then you have the screen. This is more just dialogue done. This is another interesting one because this does kind of go off of the same gameplay. It's weird. It's weird.
Of the game where you socialize with classmates as well as spend time with members of some kind of shadowy organization. There are dialogue options, classroom scenes, a level up screen, melee combat, crafting menus, boss battles, and when we combine them all together, we get a startlingly clear picture of what Lost Property Control Organization could be. A survival horror RPG with a Persona-esque day and night system where you spend your days building bonds with other characters, making narrative choices, leveling up your stats and preparing your equipment before traveling to the Lost Property Control Organization in the evening, where you'll be briefed on that night's missions. Missions where you venture into haunted locations, stealthing past its enemies, as well as experiencing horror set pieces with the objective of tracking down the area's boss monster.
I'm gonna be honest with you.
Collect the haunted.
I'm gonna be honest with you. A game called Wicked Seed, I wouldn't be surprised if it was. But let me see. You sure that it isn't? It definitely looks like it.
It's a horror game. That art looks very particular to a style of game.
It says that it's fucking positive, like hella positive. What the fuck? You serious? Even the main character looks like fucking. What? How much is this? It's only $20. What? What is this game? Huh? Wait, does this play like fucking Final Fantasy VII? Real time with pause, turn-based combat. What the fuck, dude? What am I looking? I gotta try that. What the fuck?
Relic that spawned it, which is what I'm guessing the giant backpack is for. I've never played Parasite. Escaping that area with supernatural forces pursuing you, some of which may even follow you back out into the daylight sections. And goddamn, that all sounds so fucking awesome. Despite the fact that Lost Property Control Organization exists as basically just a collection of PNGs on Twitter, they combine to create
You're missing out. I am missing out. I never got to play it when I was younger. I'm a Resident Evil baby. I played Resident Evil when I was younger.
People are themselves building onto. They're existing not only Lost Property fan art, but even fan interpretations of what its menu music might sound like, as well as animations of what its different scenes might look like in motion. That is how an immersive experience Hoshi Backyard is created here, and that is the power of mechanical context. Despite everything we've raved about with LPCO, there is a deeper layer to how it uses mechanical context. A strange detail about these screenshots is that despite how skilled Hoshi Backyard is, there is in them a strange Brokenness. A lot of the backgrounds, and particularly on closer inspection, feel scraped together from compressed textures and saw-edged polygons. Moments where a skill of flashlight will cause the environmental detail to crush into a ratterized mess of jagged pixels. The blood on the game over screen in particular looking like some lost relic of the PS1 era. So what is happening here? Is Hoshi Backyard actually just some kind of hack? Well, obviously the answer is yes. Obviously the answer is no. But I think what's happening here is really interesting. As a medium, video games are unique in that they've only been around a relatively short period of time, and in that time,
these
what
ideas
they are
made through the art and everything is so cool to think about. And then you realize that it's not a real game. It's not a real game. It's art made by an artist who's basically using pieces of video game UI to kind of like make an art style that is reminiscent of what you would see in a screenshot in a video game, which is really fucking cool. I really do like that idea. It just, I don't know, it vibes really well.
Conveyed has evolved dramatically. If you look at a film from 25 years ago and compare it to a modern film of the same genre, there are going to be differences, but it's mostly in the details, the fashion, the fidelity of the cameras they're shot on, to smaller nuances like film grain or color grade. However, compared to video games of the same series across that same time frame, and you might as well be looking at two completely different mediums. And that's because, unlike pre-rendered animated films, video games have always had to generate their visuals in real time on real hardware, forcing developers to make major visual compromises in how they convey their worlds. And the result of those compromises is the aesthetic of video games. From the stylized pixel art of the
yeah, okay, so like I remember something about this. This was when I was like looking up like just random facts for like Silent Hill, and like, you know, they're talking about how like limitations are what caused a lot of these kind of things to happen, kind of like the same thing that we were talking about Doom and Akimbo, the Akimbo reaction, where I told you that Doom is actually a 2D game that acts like a 3D game with the way that they kind of developed everything, how they went about things.
Might be D
this one,
L-O-U.
The interesting thing about Silent Hill is that the limitations were so bad that they actually had to figure out a way to keep the render distance low for it to run as good as it can get. So what they thought is during that render distance, they'd add a fog-like effect. So as far as that fog goes, that's as far as it is rendered. It is a very, very interesting way to like get around how the game is made, and which makes Silent Hill pretty fucking horrifying. I'm not gonna lie. It's a big signature for Silent Hill. That specific fog.
Super Nintendo era to the low poly landscapes
dialogue.
I've heard
about
64,
dialogue.
to even these shiny sophistifutures of the PS2/3 and 360 era. These aesthetics are all in different ways compromises born from limitation, and the reason those same aesthetics never appeared in other mediums is because other mediums never face those same limitations, even the earliest computer animated films. There's a quote I really love from the artist and composer Brian Eno: "Whatever you find weird, ugly, uncomfortable, and nasty about a new medium will surely become its signature. CD distortion, the jitteriness of digital video, the crap sound of 8-bit, all of these will be cherished and emulated as soon as they can be avoided."
That's so funny.
That is what's happening in the background of Hoshi Backyard's work. Not a mistake, but
that is actually really, really fucking interesting of a thing to think about.
Have you heard of this one?
Thysiastry? No, I do not. I have not heard of that one. These are games that I haven't even heard of at all. I'll probably take a look at them later, but no, it's the limitations of like hardware have become the aesthetic of many games, and it is very incredibly interesting how it's gone along to work that way. It is very much an interesting thing to see and to hear about. I'm actually I just realized that too, like all that fucking jitteriness that you got from it. Seeing that a lot of horror games kind of adopt that, even like the low poly feel that you get from certain video games too. My God, that is replicated to a T in a bunch of horror games that we've played before. It's super interesting to see this.
conscious effort not only to call back to the aesthetic of old video games, but to create the illusion that this is a world struggling to exist within the hardware of some fictional console. And not only does it immensely up the immersive quality of Lost Property, it shows us something really cool that fake video games can do: use mechanical context on this deeper, subtler level, emulating the feeling of these hyper-specific eras in gaming. And particularly,
I'm gonna be 100% with you for the people that are, because I know there are people out there who kind of do say this part. It's like already 12. I didn't realize that. And we've been, wow, my fucking thing has been fucking up so bad that like we ended up like dying halfway on. All right, whatever. We're gonna continue on though. That is such an interesting thing that I just that kind of got into my head, because I remember talking to like I remember it's more hearing than talking, because I wouldn't talk to somebody who would say something like this. Basically saying that like any digital medium can be considered art, and the only way art is the art can be displayed is in a physical medium, as if like canvas and, you know, carving. And while yeah, that does take a lot of skill to do, I think that the idea that the digital art is lesser than fucking like physical art, it seems, I don't know, that's bullshit. It's actual bullshit. Cause like look at this. You can't look at this and just be like, oh no, it's not art. Like this is something that's trying to replicate what a video game would feel like, and they're doing it to a T. It's crazy the amount of fucking detail that you're seeing in this. The way that you see the artifacting in the, I don't know if it's artifacting. I don't know if artifact is the right word, but you know, like how it digitized out in the background. It's crazy.
Art.
Yeah, dude, it's so dumb. 3D models weren't considered art. Really, that's so dumb. Like this mindset that just because things become more futuristic, that these things don't become art. It's so dumb, because this still takes a lot of work to do. This takes study. This takes a lot of skill, dude. Like what the fuck do you mean?
In a fake video game like Ghostbleed. Ghostbleed exists entirely as a YouTube cutscene compilation for a game that, of course, does not exist. And from its goofy, low-poly character models to its ridiculous live-action cutscenes with dialogue that is about as awkward as me trying to buy some eggs. That will make sense later.
Where is everyone?
That's fucking
There are
hilarious.
plenty of dead people, but no living people to explain why.
Maybe they shopped till they dropped.
You don't need me to
so
tell you that
stupid.
Ghostbleed is a
So
lampooning of the
stupid.
original PlayStation 1 Resident Evil. But if it just stopped there, I wouldn't be talking about it. What I love about Ghostbleed is that rather than being straight up ridicule, there is here a palpable love of the hardware and limitations of that era of games.
I'm looking for my daughter. Rita, have you seen her? She looks like this.
Something you can see in not just the low-poly, aliased and pixelated visuals, but in how Ghostbleed obsesses with capturing the mechanics and aesthetics of that era. There are big glowing item pickups, there are codec calls, there's even fake PS1
so
CD
stupid.
reading noises as its fake cutscenes load.
They sound so performative.
That's so
Incredible!
fucking
And it all
funny, dude.
creates
What the
this
fuck?
kind of innocence.
Performa-
one that's
yeah,
not only
yeah, they do.
palpable
I
in
think
the
it's on purpose,
big,
too.
blocky, oblivious faces of its characters, but in their personalities, in their complete lack of understanding of the danger they're actually in.
Ouch.
Officer Rodriguez! Are you hurt?
And I really
It's so
genuinely
dumb.
love this. Well, it's easy to look back at the original Resident
you
Evil
were
now and
her,
see it
and
as
he's
this
just
outdated
half a
relic of
person,
survival horror's
dude.
past. What this was a group of developers given technology
That's so
and creative
fucking
capacity
funny,
that would have
dude.
been unimaginable just a few years prior. And you can see the shaky wobbles of those first footsteps everywhere in this game, from the goofy live-action cutscenes to its immortally awkward voice acting. And yeah, it's silly, but it also teams with the innocent ambition of a group of people really learning to do something for the first time. And it is that innocence that Ghostbleed captures so beautifully, to the point that it becomes more than a parody. It becomes this kind of uncanny piece of nostalgia. And in terms of fake video games creating uncanny nostalgia, Ghostbleed is just the beginning. There's this video called PS2 with my friends in 2001, and it shows 4 boys experiencing a PlayStation 2 for the first time. And goddamn everything about this video, from the games they play, including the Zone of Enders demo
my
disc
God,
of Metal
you're
Gear
gonna play
Solid
Street
2,
Fighter
easily
EX.
the most 2001 piece of media in existence, to the box TV they play it on, to even just the console resting on the cream carpet below it. I remember this. I have been these people. This video is a time machine. This kind of content is typically called nostalgia-core. Images, videos, and even sound.
That's so fucking crazy to remember back in the day where I used to play with my friends, like fucking these random fucking console games on the PS2 and the PS3, on the fucking Nintendo 64, the Wii, and all these things. So fucking crazy to remember those things, and just having the Wii just sit on the floor or something when we were all there, complaining that some controllers fucked up, or like, you know, how the wires are too short or too long or anything like that. It's so, fuck, it sends me back. It sends me so far back.
It's designed to bring you back to a specific time and specific place in a way that can be comforting, uncanny, and often deeply liminal. The aesthetics of old video games are a huge part of nostalgia core for reasons that I'm going to trust you understand at this point in the video. But where things start to get wild is when people take those nostalgic scenes and rebuild them through the mechanical context and visual language of old video games, creating the illusion that these worlds are now being crammed through a PS1, even using UI-like item menus and save screens, as well as popular fonts from old video games, all filtering through what looks like the screen tears and scanned lines of old burnt-out monitors. And the result is these hyper-nostalgic, uncanny worlds, places you have never...
Like, how can you say that this isn't art, man? This is completely art. This is 100%. It sends a feeling down your soul. It details emotion. It's derivative of its time. It's trying to become what it once was. It's like a lot of art nowadays. It's like, of course, like anything drawn in a canvas, you want to try to display it as something is from the past, and that they're doing the same thing here. It's just not in the ancient past. It's just what it was maybe decades earlier. It's insane to see.
Ever been, games you have never played and yet feel so familiar and even comforting. In a lot of these pieces, there's a kind of longing, a yearning for some lost part of your past. Like, these places used to be a part of you, but at some point they disappeared from your life, and now years have gone by.
Oh my God!
You're older.
Rose, Lilith, thank you for the raid. How are you doing?
Somehow.
How are you doing tonight? I hope you're doing well. I hope your stream went well. I gotta
raid Tibby.
All they're gonna hear is Tibby raid. Hey, how are you doing tonight? I hope you're doing well. I hope you've been doing well. I hope your stream went well. What were you playing today? Does it even tell me what you were playing today? Let me see. Of course it fucking doesn't. It never fucking tells me what people play. Fucking Tibby raid. Let's go. Ugh. Ooh, mom. We're fucking around right now with like Uma. What's Uma Musume? Hey, did you get addicted? I heard that game is fucking addictive. Ah, yes, the fucking horse girls. What do you mean? The horse girls are the best. They're fucking cute. What do you mean? What's wrong with them? Oh my God, what's wrong with it? I made bank? Hell yeah, dude. Gambling with horse girls is great, dude. Fucking heals the soul. Truly truly a thing that humans should experience, dude. It is an experience of a lifetime. I haven't played the game, by the way. I've never played the game. Maybe at some point I should, but I don't know. All right, let me go on ahead and fix myself real quick. We're doing a reaction stream right now, by the way, Lilith. We're watching the Bizarre World of Fake Video Games. We're gonna watch it all the way up until here, and then we're gonna go on ahead and just probably end it there, and then we'll probably do the second part of it next time.
In this moment, you found your way back to this impossibly nostalgic space, and it's okay to rest. It's okay to enjoy life in that simple way that you lost so long ago.
And man,
Oh my. Hello.
I get it. I miss how the light hits a cracked PS1 case as a Linkin Park CD skips
we're like going back and
gently
forth.
in the background. The smell of Domino's pizza cardboard
TV
filling the
indeed.
room as you and your friend play Street Fighter Alpha 3.
I was trying to
You
find
never
the right
realized
one.
it at the time,
Fair
but
enough.
those were the simplest moments of your entire
problem, no
life.
problem.
And they're gone now. Now
Very
you pay
pretty.
taxes.
I like the
Now,
artist for this
a good
one.
40%
Fucking,
of
Mossy.
conversations you have are
Mossy did a great
you
job on this
asking
one.
questions about things that you will
Don't
never
worry.
care about.
You'll get your points soon.
You drink too much coffee because you don't sleep right, and somehow that makes sense to you. Remember Zach Morris, star of 90s youth comedy Saved by the Bell and generational symbol of boyhood rebellion? Well, he's 50 and he looks like this now.
That's
You go to the
crazy.
shop
I don't wanna know
to
about
buy
this.
some
I don't wanna
eggs
feel old.
because omelets don't have a lot of calories, but the credit card machine isn't working, and the shop assistant says that you can just pay in cash, and you tell them
This is
that
such a-
you
this is
don't
such a great
have
video. I
any
like that
cash, and then you both just stare at each other for the longest 5 seconds of your entire life. And you clarify that you do have cash.
All right, have a good night, Lilith.
It's just in
Thank
the
you for coming
ATM,
by. I really
so
appreciate it, and thank you for the
walk to
raid.
the back of the shop, but for some reason the ATM says your credit card isn't activated, and you don't know what that means. And so you turn around and you just start walking out of the shop, but as you do,
Oh, yeah,
your
that's
gaze
broke, absolutely.
once again collides into the vacant, distant stare of the shop assistant. And you're still walking, but now you're both just staring at each other, and it feels weird. And then you just feel the words crawl out of your mouth.
Oh, my wire.
See you later. And the confused, empty look on the shop assistant's face haunts you the entire rest of the day. Until it's 3 a.m. and you're awake on the shitter, clutching your phone because you drank.
I'm gonna be 100% with you. I've never had any of that happen before. There's still like one moment that I had, remember, that is like the most awkward moment of my fucking life that I could remember now that makes me cringe every time I think about it. But it's just because like the whole situation just made me feel like I was insulting the person, that I was trying to like be like, oh, you know, you're using a non-sexualized version of this character, but I couldn't find the word. I don't know how to fucking explain it. It's just like every time I remember it, it's just like, dude. I'll do that later, don't worry. All right, have a good one, Flamed. Have a good shift time. Thank you for stopping by. But yeah, no, it was you know what? I could explain it. So like I was at a con one time, and then we passed by this one chick who was basically a gender bent Naruto. You know, when he uses a sexy no jutsu. So the way that I was trying to think of it, it was just like, oh, dude, no way. It's the sexy no jutsu version of Naruto, just not sexualized, right? But instead of saying not sexualized, I said not sexy. And I'm assuming that she fucking meant that I didn't find her attractive. And that's not what I meant at all. I just meant that she wasn't fucking dressed like, you know, in the clouds. Because I saw somebody wearing the same thing, and they were actually had like cotton balls as clouds, to kind of emulate that same you know thing with the clouds around the boobs and the private parts and whatnot, to kind of censor it. Like it was like that, but then like I said it that way, and then she felt awkward. My friend was like awkward about it. I didn't know until he told me, and I was like, that's not what I meant, dude. Every time I think about it, I'm just like, dude, I'm such a fucking idiot, man. It's so stupid. That's the only time I can remember. Besides that, there was a couple other times, but that's like one of the main ones I couldn't remember. It was just like, damn, dude, why was I so stupid back then?
Too much fucking coffee. And one of these animations floats onto screen, and for a moment, it's like, yeah, that please. I would like to go back to that. I would really like that.
Some of you are too young
You're
to
about to
understand
cry.
what I'm talking about. Don't worry. You will.
Mechanical context is what makes a fake video game feel real. And so tying this back to Imagining Project, while it's lighter on mechanical context than a lot of the other fake video games we've talked about it,
you can still see it through button prompts on its menu, through controller layouts and its conversation mechanics, what looks like XP bars, in its visual novel-esque dialogue scenes. All just enough to nudge our brain into seeing video game. This
legit, the way that it looks like too, it kind of makes me think that there might have been college students instead of the high school students that you're normally seeing in like regular Persona games.
is how it was so convincing.
It's
which
younger
brings
Adam
us
Sandler.
to our next question. Why did people want to believe this? What is the appeal of experiencing a game you cannot play from an audience perspective? And to answer that question, we must once again delve into the murky waters of games past. Hello, this seems to be the perfect time to tell you about my new media book club style podcast, Versus Wolves, in which myself and my friend Wooly Versus enhance / ruin each other's lives with different media-based recommendations that you can follow along with. Each episode sprinkled with stories from our personal lives, like the time I ended up at a strip club and all the dancers made fun of me. That was 3 months ago. I have not recovered. Here's my co-host Wooly, whom I have allocated 4 seconds to convince you of the merits of this podcast.
Yeah, no, so, well, we kind of...
Haha, great job, Wooly. Link in the description. Now, back to whatever the fuck I was talking about. What you're looking at here is a poster / piece of box art / magazine advertisement for the game Double Dragon 2: The Revenge. And as you can see, it is a work of fucking art. From the dynamic composition that drags your eyes through this world of violence and romance, to the neon skyscraper punctuated skyline it's set against,
it's
to
exactly
the
art that you would see during its time.
Graphic boldness, it might as well say motherfucker at the end. All combining into this image that is some heavenly fusion of every 80s action movie poster. You try beholding this box art as a child in a game shop in 1989 and not break down into tears of raw desire. So desperate are you to enter this world, to become the Double Dragon. Now imagine that feeling when you slam the cartridge into your Nintendo Christmas morning and you experience this.
It's just yeah.
My point here is really not to talk shit about the graphics of a 30-year-old game, but just to point out that the world presented by this poster and the actual experience of Double Dragon 2 were, quite different. This used to be really common. Because of the limited capabilities of hardware, companies would have to build an idea of a game and its world in the viewer's mind in order to sell them on it. And it meant there was a kind of abstraction happening when you played games. You as the player accepted that this 17 pixel tall man was really just a representation of this radical dude.
That's
in other words,
hilarious.
companies would use secondary media to flesh out a game's characters and world, to give players
horrifying.
a better idea of the experience they were meant to be having in a way that the hardware didn't allow. And this secondary media came in so many cool forms. Magazine ads, box art, gaming walkthroughs, even the sides of arcade cabinets. But probably the best known pieces of secondary media for games were manuals. Often gorgeously designed little paper tomes packed in with games that in the time before wikis and online fan communities.
Dude, game manuals were something fucking else. I don't know, something about it was interesting. I would always, I wasn't too keen on them when I was younger, but slowly when I grew up, like around teenager, I would be so mad that I never got the gaming manual from video games because it just made the box feel so empty without that fucking manual. But a lot of the times that we got the manuals when we were younger, we just throw them away because they were just like, oh, it's useless. We already know how to play the game. It's all fine. But like, I don't know why I did that. It just made it so much better. I'm just like so pissed that we ended up doing that. But nowadays you just don't see that same thing anymore, and it sucks, man. It sucks.
were these treasure troves of additional information, context, and lore about the worlds you were meant to be experiencing, often coming with these really elaborate illustrations and even world maps. Some, like the Link to the Past walkthrough, even having these intricately designed little illustrations of every piece of equipment in the game. Famously, the Earthbound manual was a full-on in-universe travel guide with photographs and artwork of its different locations, fake newspaper articles written by its characters reacting to the events of the story, and even photos of these beautifully made little plasticine models of nearly every character and enemy in the game.
I wonder if you could buy those plasticine models.
Ask yourself, why does this exist? And sure, you could argue it was a packed-in game guide because Nintendo was terrified the West wouldn't understand what the fuck Earthbound was. But I think it's more than that. I think this was designed to help create an image of this world beyond what was possible in the game. So if you've ever looked back at old survival horror games and wondered how people found them so pants-shittingly terrifying, this is a big part of it. As a player, you accepted that when you played these games, you weren't seeing this, you were seeing this. You weren't seeing this, you were seeing this. You weren't seeing this, you were seeing this. Fuck, sorry, I
That's
don't know
fucking
how
hilarious.
that got in there. That was the power of secondary media, the capacity to create a wider world beyond what the game could do. And I think there was a real art to that, which is why I think it's such a shame that ever-increasing graphical fidelity meant that we stopped needing secondary media in games. But it leaves us with an interesting question. What happens when you create secondary media for a game that does not exist? AppleQuest Monsters TX exists as a manual for a game that is not real, chronicling a fake RPG where the player battles and collects Pokemon-style monsters. It has a fake world map, fake screenshots, and even has a cover that uses plasticine models similar to the Earthbound travel guide. Which makes sense as its creator, Splendid Land, came to the idea from their childhood memories of reading old game guides for games they had never played.
It's such an interesting thing to see. Because he is right, though. Because it's just like, whatever you saw in the games, you're kind of just like, I don't know, maybe as a kid, a lot of this stuff, it was a lot more scarier. Like, when I was playing Resident Evil 1, it did terrify me to see the zombies, right? Like, this is like during the time we were playing the PS2. When fucking Resident Evil 1 Remake came out, I think it was still just scary, but holy shit. Video games that don't exist. So like it's interesting to see like all this stuff come about, just for it to kind of just for our minds to kind of just play these tricks where it becomes a lot more scary than what we're actually looking at. It is definitely interesting.
And the imaginary worlds those guides created. And what's so special about AppleQuest is how beautifully it captures that, admittedly, very specific feeling. There's a full-on gameplay section explaining that you, the player, have 9 star points, which you spend by reading through the game's massive 80-monster bestiary and selecting different monsters for your team. Each monster having its own type, attack, habitat, and star cost, meaning that it's up to you whether you want to spend your points on a large team of low-level monsters or blow it all on 1 or 2 ultra-powerful boss creatures. And those are difficult decisions because of how compelling so many of these monsters are.
I feel like I know what space thing is based
gorgeously
off
illustrated little sprites, as well as some genuinely excellent character descriptions.
Number 10. Normal bird. Ever since it became a bird, people have commented how much more confidence it has. It ate 400 birds to achieve this form.
My personal team was Apple Warrior, who cost a single star and is one of the weakest monsters in the game, but who I had to have because I needed to pair him with his rival,
I think that's
Carrot Warrior, who, if we're being real, is just Vegeta, but a carrot. Next up is Mr. Enigma, who is really only there because he frightens me, and I don't want him as an enemy. I'm rounding out my team with a pair of boss monsters, the Power Beetles, a pair of emotionally supportive lesbian bodybuilders. I don't need to explain that any further. Making your way through AppleQuest Bestiary and selecting your team is how you experience AppleQuest, and that in itself is compelling, but what's awesome is the story that unfolds unfolds as you do. As you read through the bestiary, the game throws in little narrative breadcrumbs, even foreshadowing the game's final boss, Orchard Guardian, 7 stars and strongest of all monsters. And you can feel that climax drawing near as you read further into the end game, the monsters growing more powerful and strange until finally, hey, spoilers for a game here that doesn't exist, skip here to avoid. And also, people should buy this. It's on itch.io.
That's crazy.
It's $2.50 and it's better than most actual games I've played. You reach the Orchard Guardian, who has been murdered by Little Apple Warrior, his own weakness driving him mad, creating a lust for power, only for his best friend and rival Carrot Warrior to try and stop him before he's transformed into the Lord of Eden, a 12-star power monster.
That's crazy.
Only to be defeated by you and your team and forgiven by his best friend Carrot Warrior, the final monster of the database being the 2 spirits ascending to heaven together, because no matter what you become, there's always still a trace of the person you were, and the people that really love you will see that. God, I need to go back to therapy. What's special about Apple Quest is how
the fuck did a whole monster menu have the exact, like, the entire story was already in fucking Apple Quest, the Apple Quest of Gamer Guide. That's crazy.
thoroughly it creates the illusion of a real game world, and primarily not even through mechanical context like we've been talking about, but by building a game through the supplementary material of a games manual. Apple Quest not even being the only fake video game that does this, there are others like Fever Nights, a game that exists purely through an official walkthrough for a game that once again,
all right, have a good one, Harlan. After we finish the halfway point, we're probably gonna end here too.
Bird World, a fake RPG that exists not only through a beautifully illustrated fake manual like Apple Quest featuring location art, NPCs, party member profiles including how to recruit them, and even a level up table showing what attacks they learn when, but also through a fully composed soundtrack covering the entire fictional span of Bird World,
that they did for a game that
from
doesn't even
non-existent
exist,
opening
man.
menu with its fake title theme to even an ending title crawl with the melancholy piano of its final track, Goodbye Bird World. The combination of both Bird World's manual and its soundtrack combining into a powerful image of what this game would be. An RPG rooted
none
in
of
the
these
era
games that
of
they're
the
showing
Super
exist
Nintendo.
unless
This
it's
was
one,
an
for example, like
hopeful time for role-playing games that were often less
Mother
about
and whatnot.
stopping whatever world-ending threat that the plot hung on, and more just exploring a gigantic, colorful, and weird world and the joy of discovering what waited there. Bird World, with its laid-back soundtrack and colorful art, capturing that feeling beautifully. But where Bird World as a concept gets kind of insane is that this fake video game also has a fake sequel. As games advanced from the Super Nintendo era to PS1, maturing audiences as well as evolving hardware meant
it's
that
crazy
RPGs
how
took
fucking
a
good stuff.
darker,
You
more
should look at this video.
introspective
The video
turn,
game is
with
interesting because
games
we're
like
only going to be able to watch
Xenogears,
until
Final
halfway
Fantasy
before we
7
like
and
end
8,
it real quick.
Kadelka, often taking place in these
But
grim
like
worlds.
a lot of the fucking like animations that you see, a lot of the art that you see, they're supposed to display games that don't really exist, but you're kind of looking at them and you're just like, damn, this would be pretty fucking lit if it was real, man.
Whose problems were more complex than any one single threat.
It's called The Bizarre World of Fake Video Games by Super Eyepatch Wolf.
And what is so special about Return to Bird World is that it takes that evolution of RPGs and works it into its story, taking place 1,000 years after Bird World, but now the colorful, lighthearted universe has suffered a great calamity, resulting in a far bleaker feeling game. An evolution you can see in everything from the artwork of the manual, which has gone from these soft, exaggerated, cartoonish characters to sharp angle designs that feel more in line with the illustration work.
That's adorable.
It's simple, flat landscapes now bathed in shadow. But most impressively, listen to how this same evolution is conveyed in the Return to Bird World soundtrack. Here's the theme of Enoki Village from Bird World 1, which I have to keep talking over or this video will get copyright struck, but you can hear what a jaunty tune it is. And here is Enoki Village's theme from Bird World 2, and oh dear, listen to that despair, listen to this place now desolate and hopeless. And while the soundtrack does keep some of the nautical absurdity from Bird World 1, it also punctuates it with far darker tracks, like The World Descends into Chaos, whose metallic, discordant sound speaks to a planet pulling itself apart.
Ow.
The idea of bringing a game world to life through a soundtrack is so cool, but the crazy part is, Bird World isn't even the only fake game that does this. Louis Zong's Boss Rush is an album of boss music for a game that, of course, isn't fucking real. It is great and it deserves its own section,
That's
but God,
funny,
I
dude.
keep discovering new fake video games, just like the games I talk about in this video. This video will never exist if I do not commit to just finishing it. Unlike the other fake video games we've talked about, rather than showing you what a game might look or feel like, these games instead create the illusion of a game with
Apples
second
and duck.
media. And that's exciting.
Yeah,
and
right?
you can
That's
see
crazy.
how this
Apples and
applies
ducks.
to Imagining Project, a fake video game we experience only through a fabricated press leak, which creates this entire other layer of intrigue. What is this game on the other side of our limited viewpoint? And that can be a really fascinating question. And it brings us to one of the strangest and most mysterious fake video games in existence.
Oh, is it gonna be
Over
the
the
horror ones? The
Extremely
horror ones are
long course
crazy.
of making this video, I put a call out to my Twitter followers for fake video game recommendations, and as ever, my human-powered search engine did not disappoint. But one of the most striking returns wasn't so much a fake video game as it was a single mysterious image. A picture of an old desolate house drawn in stark black and white pointillism, like it's being generated on some old beat up processor. Its atmosphere thick.
This reminds me of what the fuck is that game called? The World of Horror, if I'm correct. It's like a point and click adventure game, not horror novel, where it's also roguelike, by the way, so each playthrough is different. And you have to figure out how to stop the world from ending. It's insane.
With a subtle dread and the text, "You sense a presence somewhere in this room. Proceed." Whatever this was, I wanted to see more. The only problem being that more didn't seem to exist. The only information I had to go off was a Tumblr tag, Ghost Gods, leading to a blog that no longer existed. Even when viewed through the Wayback Machine, it showed a page empty of artwork. It was frustrating, and I'll save you the tedious internet scavenger hunt that followed, but I did eventually find an old archive blog of all Ghost Gods work, posted by Ghost Gods themselves, even detailing their reasons for deleting the original. And while I fully understand the pull to delete everything you've ever done and disappear from the internet, I think it's a real loss in this case. What really got me about that first image was the atmosphere, and my god, was that just the beginning. Within Ghost Gods work, there were environments that captured everything from a kind of melancholy coziness to others an ambiguous dread. Like something here is wrong.
It's like a light form of horror whenever you see this kind of stuff. It's all pretty interesting. Like you see the fucking shuffle through it. You saw the little fucking lightly fucking printed fucking human face in the window too. Honestly, if these games did exist, I definitely would play them.
You're just not quite sure what. Other pieces were more unsettling, some even showing these beautiful and horrific nightmare creatures. But what really struck me about so many of these images was the vague sense that they were all part of some interconnected world, which you could see in series like these sketches detailing some horrific abandoned swimming pool, a building that seems to have grown some kind of bizarre sentience, its walls pulsating with strange growths, organs dripping through its water slides, parts of the building disappearing into gaping maws and gnashing teeth. I love these pictures. There's a real feeling of exploration in them. They don't feel super polished or finished, instead like the development of an idea, something to be fit into a larger whole.
Christ,
which is why you
It is
may find it
absolutely
unsurprising
horrifying.
that there is also here posts illustrating loading screens, inventory menus, and contextual choices. As nestled deep within this deleted blog, there lies a fake video game, Field Trip. What looks like a surreal Yume Nikki-like RPG Maker game, in which the player is pulled deeper and deeper into a bizarre world of strange environments. Given the nature of this archive, it's hard to say for sure which pieces are part of Field Trip and which aren't, but even just the process of trying to figure that out is compelling. The feeling that through this deleted Tumblr, you are peering into this old forgotten world of a video game that never existed and trying to
There's
make
a
sense
lot
of
of,
it.
yeah, I
There's
wish there were
something a little
developers that would
spooky about that, right?
Kind of make a deal
Like
with
walking
the
around an
original
abandoned
artist
house,
and
nothing
like
but
making
the
it into a thing.
furniture,
That would be-
wallpaper, and
that would be
decor,
crazy to see.
traces letting you know that someone used to be here. But just like an old abandoned house, fake video games can create a tremendous amount of unease with one simple idea. What if you are not alone here? What if something is in here with you? The Legend of Polybius is a strange one. An arcade cabinet that appeared around
Polybius.
Portland, Oregon from 1981 to
Is that the one that you're going
1984. So addictive that massive...
Okay, yeah, that goes into the next section, the ghosts and fake video games. But yeah, no, we're gonna watch this the next time. When I come back, we're definitely gonna be watching the next part, so we have both parts coming in simultaneously in my channel, maybe one day apart, or in its entirety when it happens. But yeah, no, I'm gonna be rating right now. But thank you very much for coming by. I really do appreciate it. We'll definitely put the second part out soon. Just make sure that you guys take care of yourselves, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Mwah. Love you all. Bye, everybody.